You stupid fool. Did you really think you gonna hit me? Huh? Bam, bam, bam. Over.
And we're gonna put on a great show and a great performance. It will be a one-sided massacre, I promise you that. And I'm gonna punish him. He gonna wish he took his brother's advice not to take this fight.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Well, so much for fans saying that Mikey Garcia was in a win-win situation going into this Errol Spence fight. Because ever since Mikey Garcia lost to Errol Spence, everyone has been coming out criticizing Mikey Garcia's performance. Now, I don't agree with a lot that's being said about Mikey Garcia's performance, but the majority of people are saying it though. And we're not talking about boxing fans, we're talking about Mikey Garcia's peers, we're talking about other professional boxers, professional trainers, etc., etc. From trainer Kenny Porter, to promoter Bob Arum, to now Vasyl Lomachenko. You know, Lomachenko, he rarely has anything negative to say about another fighter, but he really went in on this performance when it comes to Mikey Garcia. And the irony of this image that I have on the screen right here, where Lomachenko is in the studio with Mikey Garcia, critiquing Mikey Garcia's style, giving him tips, if you will. Fast forward to present day, Lomachenko continues to criticize Mikey Garcia. Here's what Loma had to say. I expected a little more from him, but in that fight, he wasn't fighting to win. In that fight, he entered the ring to get his check and to keep standing through all 12 rounds. I did not enjoy his performance, end quote. You know, it's amazing when you think of how many fans going into this fight, they were saying, well, clearly we all know that Mikey Garcia is the much better boxer. I've seen so many fans saying this, right? And this is the reason why Mikey Garcia is receiving so much backlash now, because Errol Spence actually beat Mikey Garcia at his own game. He didn't beat him by just bullying him around the ring. He didn't just walk through Mikey Garcia's best punches and then eventually, knock him out after losing a whole bunch of rounds, because this is usually how a bigger fighter beats a smaller guy. Usually the bigger fighter is getting outboxed, but he walks through the punches and eventually he catches up with the smaller guy, right? This is exactly what we've seen in the Canelo versus Amir Khan fight. Amir Khan was winning the majority of the rounds, and then eventually he got caught by the bigger man and got knocked out. Golovkin versus Kell Brook. In that fight, the smaller man was doing really good in the fight. Kell Brook was starting to outbox and outspeed Gennady Golovkin. And then on Abel Sanchez, he told Golovkin to use his power and size and just jump all over Kell Brook. And that's exactly what Golovkin did, and he was successful. Golovkin came out, I believe, the 5th or 6th round, and he just threw caution to the wind. And he just tried to walk through Kell Brook and just overpower him. And he ended up getting a stoppage in that fight. So this is the way these type of fights usually play out. This performance was reminiscent of Floyd Mayweather versus Juan Manuel Marquez. A complete shutout, where the bigger guy was the smarter guy, was the better boxer, had the better defense, was just better in every single aspect. So I guess we can say so much for claiming a moral victory as some type of real victory. Unfortunately for Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence, he somewhat showed the blueprint on how you beat a Mikey Garcia. Now, this is not to suggest that anybody can beat Mikey. Mikey is still one of the best fighters in the world. But a very athletic, intelligent fighter is going to know how to follow that Errol Spence blueprint and take advantage of Mikey Garcia's flaws. And I think Vasyl Lomachenko is one of those fighters. Despite him not having the height and reach advantage over Mikey Garcia like Errol Spence did, I still believe Lomachenko, he would have the edge in that fight because of his intelligence, because of his foot movement, because of him knowing how to control range the same way Errol Spence knows how to do it. But the funny thing is, I would say I still believe Mikey Garcia, he has a good chance when it comes to fighters at the welterweight division. Fighters like Manny Pacquiao, fighters like Keith Thurman, even Sean Porter. I think Mikey would do good against those opponents. Not saying he would beat them all, but I think he would do way better than he did against Errol Spence. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to say I think. I know he would do better. I mean, he can't do any worse than he did against Errol Spence. He lost every single round. And one judge even scored one of the rounds a 10-8 round for Errol Spence. Do you guys notice the difference of how professional boxers, trainers, promoters, managers, how they're reacting to this fight, Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence, to how the fans on the internet, how they're reacting to this fight? You notice it's the polar opposite? And I'm going to explain why that is. You see, when it comes to Errol Spence, once again, it was a flawless performance. A flawless performance. There's really nothing you can criticize, which is the reason why the vast majority of Errol Spence's boxing peers, they have all congratulated and praised him for his great performance against Mikey Garcia. So the question is, why aren't the majority of professional boxers and trainers, why aren't they agreeing with what fans on the internet are saying, Mikey Garcia fans? Oh, but he couldn't knock him out. He couldn't knock out a lightweight, so it doesn't mean anything. The reason why the professional boxers, trainers, they don't say these type of things, because they don't have an agenda, a personal agenda where they go against fighters on the coincidental list. They're calling it straight down the line. And if you guys watch my videos, then what you will find out is at least 95% of what you've heard me say is always congruent with what the professional boxers, trainers are saying. The majority of them are never agreeing with these type of boxing fans that base everything on race, nationality, and pride. Now, getting back to the Mikey Garcia backlash, you know the backlash is real because Bob Arum, he just recently said that the fight has lost value. A Mikey Garcia versus Lomachenko fight has lost value. He said there's no way Mikey Garcia would get a 50-50 split after losing that way against Errol Spence. So Mikey Garcia's got some work to do to get back to where he was before. I'll close with saying this. For once again, and I keep saying this, for these fans that claim they don't want to hear about racism and all that kind of stuff, I keep telling you, I don't want you. I mean, that's like you coming to one of my parties at my house and telling me that you don't like the music being played or the food that's being served when your ass was never invited to the party in the first place. I don't even know how you got the address. I mean, what I will never understand when it comes to racism towards black people, why does a person who's not black think that his opinion matters, especially when he's going against the grain and he has nothing positive to add? Why do you think we would even care what you have to say? I mean, let me put this in a point of view so you can understand it. Imagine if Mexicans are protesting against Donald Trump, right? They're all chanting, he's racist. These Mexicans are feeling that they're making a change because they're coming together to fight against racism. And their voices are being heard. All of a sudden, a couple white guys walk over to the Mexicans and they say, hey man, we don't want to hear this. Can you guys please stop talking about this? Why do you guys have to make this all about race? You guys are just making things worse talking about this. Who do you think these Mexicans are going to listen to? Are they going to listen to these white people that have no compassion, they're completely apathetic and act like they don't have any sympathy for what's going on? Or are they going to listen to the other Mexicans that are showing empathy, that can relate to everything that they are dealing with? That's a rhetorical question, right? Look, guys, at the end of the day, boxing is based on racism. Because if it wasn't, people wouldn't be able to predict what you're going to say about a black person just based off of what your last name is. And if you guys have been reading the comments on the internet, then you know exactly which last names I'm talking about, at least when it comes to the majority of the racist comments. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.